My guest today is the fabulous Katie Joy. She's the creative director of the Global Butterfly, and she's a source of inspiration, certainly to me, but lots and lots of other people around the world as an award-winning coach. She's a spiritual mentor and money, marketing and mindset coach. She just does so many amazing things to align people with what their soul-driven purpose on this planet is. But I would like, Katie, for you to introduce yourself and tell us what is it that you do and what got you started in this?
Thanks, Lauren, and thank you for having me today. I am so excited. I love that intro. I am Katie Joy, founder of theglobalbutterfly.com, and thanks for your help too. I'm also an international award-winning mentoring coach, so yay! Thanks, Lauren. And I love helping entrepreneurs and leaders bridge the gap between spirituality and strategy for soul-aligned success. Bottom line, that's what I love doing. My journey began with a deep calling, moving people into transforming their lives. My background is in emergency paramedicine, psychology, chiropractic care, NLP, and energy healing, and so much more. And I had a big pivotal moment in that journey. You don't even know this one yet, but in December of 2015, I was on stage with Oprah Winfrey, and she was holding my hands and sharing with the audience how gratitude saved my life, because I had, in the VIP session, shared with her how 20 years prior, at the age of 21, watching one of her shows, which was journaling 5 things you're grateful for a day, really helped me move forward. And then that became a pattern of a pathway for me as I built my gratitude gains appreciation method, which underpins all my coaching programs. And it's been a journey of blending that very diverse, multidimensional background with my soul gifts to help others align their energy, their mindset, and their actions to achieve their soul-aligned success. So they have the holistic well-being without sacrificing their inner peace.
Yeah, nice. I love it. And I mean, you've already sort of answered this question, which is my next one, which is, what's different or innovative or impactful? What I'd like you to answer that with, though, is we've talked about this a lot. The coaching industry is incredibly broad. It's unregulated.
Yeah.
There's definitely some blueprint type copycat stuff that goes on. Now,
Yes.
how do you differentiate yourself as a coach, or how have you come to, I mean, I know you talk about that fabulous point of difference, spirituality and strategy, the two things that probably shouldn't exist in the same world, and yet you managed to make them coexist beautifully. So that's your point of difference and your niche, if you like. But what have you done to set yourself apart as a coach and be seen as different and innovative from other people?
I love this question, and I'm just going to be really bold, and I say I walk my talk. I believe everyone is born unique, and we get conditioned to be a copycat, and most people die a copycat. They're too afraid to be who they are. They don't even know who they are, so they're not following a soul-aligned path. They're following more external goals, but rather their internal goals. And so my whole life experience, personally and professionally, has been this wonderful journey of shedding everything that's not authentic to who I am and shining with that, and which is exactly what I teach other people, because I bridge that gap between the woo-woo of spirituality and strategy so that you can be your own unique energetic blueprint.
Yeah, nice. And it's interesting because, as you say, you've got such a beautifully blended background of, I mean, a paramedic, for crying out loud. You are saving somebody's life, and I know a lot of people go, you know, when you're in an accident, you don't want the incense and the woo-woo. You need someone who knows what they're talking about. But at the same time, you've then blended that with your understanding of how we need to align our emotion, our being, and our purpose with, yes, we've got to make money. Yes, we need to stand out and have a profile. Yes, we need to be successful as a business person.
Yep.
How have you actually done that? How have you blended all of that together?
Awesome. Look, let's go back to like when you go to a crisis, right? And let's face it, most people in business are dealing with fires and crisis every single day. And most people are so internally in their head worried about how to pay the bills, the conflict with their partner, or, you know, distractions with other family, friends, everything else in life, or not feeling good in their body. And so all of that creates a crisis internally and they're not responding to the pressures externally with an effective energetic system. And so me as a parent, I function extremely calm under crisis. I'm like a cool cat. And you said people don't want the spirituality when they're in a crisis, where my experience is a lot of people in crisis, they're energetically bridging between the two. A lot of people meet their option. Do I cross over? Do I stay? Right? So they're open to spirituality. But the key here that is the same in the paramedic world as well as in business and in life, being present. But you can only be present if you are soul aligned. If you have all that energetic muckery cluttering your energetic system, it affects your thinking, it affects how you feel, because then now if you're thinking about I'm not good enough, or what are people thinking of me, or how am I going to pay those bills, that's now looking through a lens of threat. That activates the nervous system into the sympathetic nervous system response. So you have the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. Sympathetic is fight and flight, and parasympathetic is rest and digest. You have to be in rest and digest to create. Otherwise, you're reacting in fight and flight to a perceived threat that is internal. You might have a pressure that could be a crisis, but it's the internal meaning that we make that creates the stress and determines whether it's a threat or an opportunity. And most people are functioning day to day, all day, as if it's a threat. And so they're missing opportunities, and they're not creating, they're just recreating the same crisis response. And then they wonder why shit keeps happening. Sorry, I swore. My lab.
Yeah, no, it's all good. That's audacious. We can do whatever we like.
Cool. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, it's encouraged me to ask you another one, because I've got another question coming up on our list of questions that we ask on the show, but I've got another one in between, if you don't mind, because I'm seeing that what you're talking about is in huge high demand at the moment because of the stresses of an incredibly fast-paced world. I mean, we're seeing so many technological and political and communicative advances, like Moore's Law. We are living in Moore's Law right now. Things are 10xing, 100xing, 1000xing, just like crazy. And the stress and pressure on leaders and business owners and thought leaders and change makers to handle the stress of change and at the same time create, deliver results, all this, it's almost at a point where something has to break. What are the trends that you are seeing right now in terms of the people that you work with? Yep. And what they're needing versus what's currently available to them in the coaching industry?
Oh God, this is such a big one. I would say, and I'm going to even take from my own learning here, but I see this pattern a lot. People wait until they hit their rock bottom before they make a shift. And I'm going to share a message with you, and please tattoo this to your wrist. Raise your rock bottom. Like, don't wait till it gets so bad. It's kind of like the ostrich in the sand syndrome, It's like, look, when I was a paramedic, if I got paid $1 for every time I heard one of two of these variation of statements, are you ready? If it was the person was still alive and they were speaking, they would say, I never thought this would happen to me. It's that person passed in trauma or even a medical, sort of like a sudden medical. The family would say, oh my God, I never thought this would happen to us. I heard that same line every day on shift for almost a decade. And I think people are still today in denial about what they need to do in order to have a growth and change and be proactive in their approach instead of reactive. Because if you're reactive, you're already behind the 8 ball and your nervous system is just jangling on nerves, and you're reactive, you're overwhelmed, you're not making your best decisions, you're coming from a limited consciousness out of fear versus an expanded consciousness out of love and opportunity. And here's the cool thing. When you stay present, even when shit's hitting the fan, you have the most incredible, remarkable, you can't even imagine the amount of synchronicities that show up. Can I give you an example?
Yeah, go for it.
So just recently, one of my latest clients, and I tend to attract a lot of teachers, creators, healers, lots of leaders, whether they're in profession or in business. And she is remarkable, as all of my clients who come in, but was a little lost, like most, right, in that transition. And she wanted to be able to take some time off work. But before she did my foundational program is called the Awakened Soul Program, where I align that emotional mastery, that intuition for that soul line compass, and designing your life, living your dreams at complete purpose. And she got excited first because she was able to move out of that limitation of the fear. And I'd said, dare to dream, write down your ideal situation moving forward. She wanted to build a business. She wanted to take time off work. And she ended up saying, okay, instead of quitting my job, I'll take time off and I'll go part-time, but I would love to go part-time with two of the most amazing teacher mentors. But she didn't think it was possible, but she just dared to dream. Okay, so within just a few weeks, one of those teachers said, would you like to take on a day a week in my class? So she said, yes! A couple of weeks after that, she's been having such a ripple effect on her family and her community with what she's been teaching, and we're learning from me and then teaching it to her family, which is, I love that. So she was going for a walk along the beach with her daughter, having these conversations, and her daughter said, Mum, I'm really hungry. I haven't eaten breakfast. And she looked up, because she didn't want to quit the walk. She looked up, there was a cafe just up the hill. She said, stay here. I'm going to go up and get a coffee and maybe a muffin, and I'll be back. When she went up to that coffee shop, the second teacher mentor she ran into there, and she happened to say, hey, I've been thinking of you. I'm going to be taking some time off this year. Would you like to take over one day in my class? Right? You can't make this stuff up. This is what I say. When you get soul aligned and you get present, your higher self and everybody else's higher self coordinates all the people and resources on the chessboard of planet Earth, and it lines them up that you can't even possibly do if you try to push. And most people do. They try to push and hustle and grind and burn out and overwhelm. Whereas if you relax and be in the flow and follow that intuitive nudge, the inner compass, then you get to be awestruck on a daily basis with the most fun, magical synchronicities and coincidences,
Yeah.
So, that's a fun example. That literally, I just got told yesterday with that beautiful client, Debbie, give her a shout out. And she's a classic example of what happens, because this stuff happens all the time when you get so aligned.
Yeah. So the trend that we're seeing is this people being in survival mode for most of the time, and that survival and denial mode, if you like.
Yep.
And then I'm guessing the nice thing that you're seeing as a result of what you're doing is people are not only stepping out of that denial survival mode, they're stepping into such a creative aligned mode that the universe is wanting to deliver for them anyway. So it's extraordinary. So of all those people, and you
can I quickly speak scientifically what's happening to that, so people can go, right? That survival mode and denial mode is because there is a perceived loss of a dream, perceived loss and grief. People don't realize they're in grief. And so they're stuck.
Because this wasn't supposed to happen to me.
Yeah. And so they keep that echoes in a subconscious, self-imposed limitation. It's like you're in a prison and you don't even know it. And so when I guide people through the framework of what I do, it helps people go, holy cow. I basically clean the lens of what they're looking through, which is completely dirty. Right? And then I have something I call the helicopter effect. In amongst my mix, after being a paramedic, I wanted to be on the critical care paramedic helicopter, and before I left, and then I thought, bugger, I want to actually fly them. So there was a period of time I got my commercial helicopter pilot license and was a student of learning to fly. So I have this experience of when I was first in that helicopter, right up next to the hangar. If you've been in a helicopter, you know how quickly they can take up. And that's all I could see was this hangar. And then within seconds, we had such a high elevated view, and we saw 360, and I went, oh my God, there's all this possibility. And so I share people this helicopter method of you're so stressed, you're up against the hangar right now. And it's like, let's elevate it so we can raise your consciousness and see from seconds before where you thought you were stuck to now all of a sudden you've got so much possibility and opportunity. And you've got a pathway that you know that's right for you, not someone telling you what to do, not even me, but it's, you know. That's the cool part. Yeah.
I love it. You are listening to the That's Audacious podcast. It's available on all your favourite podcast channels and right here in the Audacious Agency website where you can find out more as well. Talking about what we're talking about today, Katie, I mean, obviously you've had lots of success with your clients. And I know when we were working together to create your award entries, I was blown away with the metrics and the data and because often with a coaching business, the results are very intangible. They're like, oh, they improved their life or they improved their outlook or whatever. Your results were so tangible around the change and the impact and the improvements. But what's one of your biggest achievements that you personally are really proud of?
This is quite vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I'm gonna go with my intuition here. So can I have a couple of 2 minutes to answer this?
Mm-hmm.
So this is a journey of the achievements, right? Because this will give you some insight in soul alignment. So I've been married and divorced twice. First husband, fabulous, not a right fit. Second husband was my spiritual boot camp, right? Really taught me what it's like to be on the opposite spectrum of truth and integrity and honesty. So when I was in that space, I had inherited $250,000 debt with that marriage. And I moved us into 1.3 million net worth over 6 years. And then over that period of time, I split, obviously, but then split the assets and everything else. But within 6 months, I got mine back up to 1.3 million net worth. And then 6 months after that, retired from my career. And then I kept tripling my results. But in 2019, those results, by the way, initially were from property and also starting my online blogging and a cookbook publishing business. And what I did is I took all the learnings from that experience when in 2018, 2019, everything went under and I lost it. I walked away. I also had an 18-month-old son, single, which I was moving forward in a journey, realigning, redesigning. And at first it felt really traumatic and it was pretty hard. It was a very hard journey. I'm not going to soften it, right? But as I tell people, when you choose to go for a soul-aligned path, and I had chosen, I want only my authentic self to shine. What's going to happen is that everything that's not that will fall away and it will scare the shit out of you, which is why you need a coach and a mentor, right? Because with being professional and personal experiences, I've been through every hell you can imagine, skipped back and forth multiple times, and I can take you by the arm and say, don't cry, let's just move this way. And so I rebuilt my life as a single mum at 42 with $38 in the bank account and an idea. And I rebuilt my whole life, my whole business online using the principles that I'd learned in investing and business in an online space. And I rebuilt it completely authentic. And I put down strict boundaries and I had a filter system, just like I did with my success in property. I had a mentor with that who gave me clarity in my filter system, so I knew what decisions to make quickly. Yes, no, yes, no. Saved me so much energy, time, money, all those resources, so I could just laser focus on what I'm building. And I think that is my biggest success, because you talk about, like, in the results that I get, it's very practical, very tangible, as well as intangible. But what most people are looking for with physical results, they're looking for they're poking at a symptom that they think is what's stopping them. And I guarantee you, every time it's the intangible, energetic misalignment that's stopping them. So I have a unique ability that it was not completely unique to me, but it's, we all have our soul gifts. And one of mine is a knowing. I'm highly intuitive, clairsentient, clairaudient, all of the psychic gifts activated. So I'm able to see people for who they are on an individual level. I'm able to strategically piece all their pieces together and activate them not only activate them, but integrate it deeply so they have that long-lasting transformation. So it's not just like, oh, this is nice to have and move forward. I've done it for myself and I do it for my clients. I've done it now for thousands of people.
Brilliant. I love it. And again, that taps back into what we're talking about in terms of what people are wanting right now. And I'm seeing a real shift towards that there was for a long time a very big barrier to people when I said, look, you've got to choose a niche. You've got to start saying no to stuff that's not aligned with who you want to be. And there was a lot of pushback. Oh, no, I can be everything to everyone. I can do all these things, have all these multiple platforms and so on. And what you've just said confirms to me this trend going forwards, when we are overwhelmed with content, overwhelmed with pressure and stress and all this other stuff going on in the world, we need to step into what we're here for. Yep. Fabulous word no a damn sight more, and just say no to the stuff that doesn't work so we can align ourselves, which is fabulous. And if you are listening to this and you are really resonating with what Katie's saying around stepping into your purpose, but you're just not sure and you're going, oh, I don't know if I've got what it takes. We get a lot of this when we have people approach us about entering awards, and their biggest fear is, I haven't done enough, I'm not worthy enough. Well, if you have any of those fears, please talk to Katie, because you can just, from what we've just talked about today, you can imagine the barriers that get broken when you suddenly realise that you are worthy of all of those amazing, magical things that are due to come to you. Now, on that note, Katie, why did you enter awards and what have they done for you?
I entered them because for me, it wasn't so much about the recognition. I already had that and my acceptance in myself. I knew what I was doing. But I did realize that aligning myself with such a global platform that celebrates excellence would elevate my visibility. And in the perceived eyes of those who don't know me yet, it creates a safety, a security. We're talking about the nervous system a lot of, especially with the market now exploded with a lot of noise and a lot of big promises and underwhelming delivery, right? And so a lot of people have, between the events of 2020 till now, and then the added pressures and the lack of the emotional awareness and the skills and tools to use to align and calm your nervous system, align and balance, people are just they're frayed is the energy. They're really frayed, not just afraid, they're afraid. So they're not even hearing people, because they're just through that lens of threat. And so having an award that is globally recognized by the best awards in the world, from the Stevie Awards, and that psychologically it says, oh, they're not going away. They're safe, is the subconscious thought process. So I knew that would be where the opportunity is, because I have such a deep understanding of the psychology and the behavioral mechanisms of the human body, mind-body relationship. And so I wanted to be able to do that. And it's been able to help me amplify my message, even in just the short few months that I've already been blessed with the win, with the gold for the Mentor Coach of the Year for Consumer Services, and even bronze for the Maverick of the Year, which is, I actually kind of like that one because I was in the category with TripAdvisor and Twilio, and just, I do things differently, right? And to be acknowledged by amazing business leaders and judges for how different, and the feedback I got, it was really a validating moment. For all the time that I'm walking through the dark pathway where I had so many mentors say, no, you have to do it like this, cookie cutter mode. I'm like, no, it's not for me. And anytime I did try, it was such a hustle and grind and a push, and I'd attract the worst clients that would just wanted me to pull my hair out. And so I just love the opportunity of having that elevation and credibility and visibility for the other opportunities and partnerships and connection with like-minded leaders. It's done a lot as well for my own confidence, to be really honest. It's just got me to the standing really solid on my feet, going, yes, no, sorry, you're not a client for me. No, but go to this person, or here's some free resources, you're not ready. And it's just made that world of difference for me.
Yeah, brilliant. I love it. Being bold, brave, and audacious. It's so cool. Now, we're going to wrap this up because it's a very short podcast normally. We've already talked way more than we should have. But anyway, what I'd like to do, and it's been such an extraordinary journey watching you grow with your personal brand and your profile since we met at Business Blueprint, and what you've been doing is just amazing. But I'd like you to tell us, if you could go back in time to whenever in your life, doesn't need to be any particular time, but if you could go back and give yourself some advice, maybe in one of those times where it was the darkest moments or the hardest moments or sometimes the most joyous moments, what would that advice be that you would give yourself?
Without a doubt, trust your intuition, Katie. You already know. I can't tell you how many moments along my journey where I second-guessed myself and I delayed taking that bold actions, or I let fear creep in. I'd tell myself, I'd go back and I would tell my younger self, clarity comes through action, not overthinking, and that every step, even the missteps, is leading you exactly where you're meant to be. But trust yourself.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love it. It's giving me goosebumps. That's so cool. If you want
one more, I'd say celebrate the small wins along the way, because most people only wait till they get to the destination and they delay that. And guess what? You won't get there.
Yeah.
Or if you do, you get to the top of the mountain, you go, is this it? But if you celebrate along the way, the joy is in the journey, not the destination.
Yeah, love it. And that speaks beautifully to your whole gratitude approach to everything that you do. I love it. So if you want to know more about the fabulous Katie Joy at the Global Butterfly, please contact her. Her details will be underneath this podcast. She also has a soul goal mapping challenge that she runs. Is extraordinary, and there'll be more information about that on our blog as well, and a 21-day alignment that she runs as, is it 3.5 minute YouTube videos that you have on those?
2 to 3 minutes every day with one little quick win, celebration, win action. It's completely free, completely open source. Start there, resonate. If you love it, then the Soul Goal Mapping Challenge is your deep dive, truly transformative experience, and that's free as well. There is a VIP upgrade for those of you that do value your growth and instant results, but everybody's on their journey and in their phase, so I respect and honor that, and so I make those available for you as a first step.
Brilliant. You're incredibly generous with what you give, Katie. Thank you so much for being on the show today. It's been such a pleasure to interview you, and thank you so much for everything that you do to just align people with their soul purpose. It's brilliant.
Thank you.